On this episode, we discuss some of the best apps for helping you navigate Thailand.
So if you want to up your mobile game when it comes to shopping, travel, learning, and more, you'll love this episode of the Bangkok Podcast.
Sawadee krap, and welcome to the Bangkok Podcast. My name is Greg Jorgensen, a Canadian who came to Thailand in 2001 with nothing but a backpack, a Lonely Planet guide, $4 million in cash, and a gambling addiction.
And that $4 million is gone, apparently.
Yeah, I was a really bad gambler.
And I'm Eddie Knuth, an American who came to Thailand on a one-year teaching contract 22 years ago. Fell in love with strategizing the best way to get a Thai taxi driver to take me where I want to go. So I never left.
I've never met anyone who has put together so much thought into how to improve and manipulate and wring productivity from the existing taxi system.
Dude, I feel like this is nostalgic because my memory of my first 6 months as the co-host of the Bangkok Podcast is that you and I talked a lot about taxis and taxi strategy and how we can solve the problem of taxis refusing to go where you want to go. Remember, we did. Yeah. That was like my thing. That was my.
You put a lot of thought into that.
That was my infancy on the Bangkok Podcast. I talked about it a lot.
Yeah, but things look sadly like they've gotten back to the old ways of no.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's bad out there right now. Listeners, I don't know what to tell you, but I think during COVID, taxi drivers were more desperate, and so they were just taking everyone as they're supposed to. But the last couple of weeks, it's been rough out there, where I'm getting refused a lot.
Yeah, it sucks.
Brutal. All right, we want to give a big thanks to all of our patrons who support the show. Patrons get our ad-free regular show a day early, behind-the-scenes photos of our interviews, a heads up to send questions to our upcoming guests, and access to our Discord server to chat with me, Greg, and other listeners around the world. But best of all, patrons also get an unscripted, uncensored bonus episode every week where we riff on current events and Bangkok topics. On this week's bonus show, we chatted about the new visa extension that sees visitors from visa on arrival countries getting a 45-day stamp instead of a 30-day stamp, what Greg has planned for his upcoming Bangkok Boys Weekend with his son, some thoughts on a Bangkok Podcast video series, and why you need to be on the lookout for the Bangkok governor sitting down next to you the next time you're out partying till late in the land of smiles.
That'd be freaky.
To learn how to become a patron, click the support button at the top of our website.
That's right. And as always, if you have a comment, show idea, or just want to say hi, head to BangkokPodcast.com and click the little microphone button on the bottom right to leave us a voicemail that we'll play on the show. Alrighty then. Well, on this episode, we are revisiting a show that Evo and I did in June of 2017. That was season 2, where we talked about the best mobile apps to use in Thailand to make things easier and less confusing. We've had a few suggestions from listeners over the past year that we should do an update on this because the way technology changes so quickly, things get outdated and outdone pretty fast. Now, of course, I think people know the big ones: Grab, Facebook, any of Google's apps, Line, WhatsApp, Twitter. And of course, everyone has their own favorite Learn Thai app. So we're going to try and stay away mostly from the biggest and best known ones. So what we did was we sent an email today to our lovely patrons, as well as a tweet to all of my followers on Twitter, asking for their favorite apps that they rely on to shop, travel, learn, get around, or just enjoy a hobby in Thailand. And boy, did we get a good response. In fact, we got so many suggestions that we won't be able to list them all on the show. And even the ones that we do use, it's going to be hard to credit everyone who replied.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and of course, there were a number of people who listed the same ones. So apologies if you sent something in and we didn't get to it or didn't use your name. But you can put your head on your pillow tonight, safe in the knowledge that we see you and we love you.
That is true.
That's right. So anyway, there's no rhyme or reason to the apps that we're going to get into here. It's kind of a jumble, but there's some really, really good ones here. And these are the top ones that stood out to us. So what do you think of this, Ed?
Dude, I love this idea, partly because I need to learn about these apps. So when you proposed this idea and then I looked at some of the suggestions, I loved it because I feel like a listener. Because I have to confess, I rely mostly on Google Apps. Now, I think I've got better Google food than most people. But to be honest, I rely mostly on obviously Google Translate. Both obviously for a lot of speech, but also the ability for it to take pictures of stuff where it can isolate text. That is a great feature. So I use Google Translate a lot, and I use Google Maps basically constantly, and not just in the normal way to find a way to go somewhere. But actually, this is a good question for you, Greg. I don't know what you do. I know you're more of an Apple guy, but on Google, I actually use location tracking, and I leave it on 24 hours a day. So it's been on for me for 10 years. Okay. So I can go back to any day in the last 10 years, and I can see exactly where I have been, literally in the world. So, I mean, it worked when I went back to the States. So, wow. So my location is tracked, 24 hours a day. So I can just pick a time, like 3 p.m., February 16th, 2012. You
are Google's bitch.
I can tell you exactly where I was. No, I love this feature because I can just remember, like this is, because I can't rely on myself. I can't rely on my own brain to remember where I've been and what I've done. Right. And if you leave location tracking on, I realize you're selling your soul to Google. So I did that long ago. I bent the knee, it's like I worship at the altar of Google, but it's free, so I'm giving them all this personal data. I get it. I know what's going on. Actually, I don't even want to know what they're doing with all my data. But I really think I get more back than what I'm giving them because I just have this shocking wealth of information. Like essentially every restaurant, every bar that I've gone to in the last 10 years is cataloged, like basically based on date and time. And you got to remember, although I let the news out on the bonus episode, a couple weeks ago, that I am now divorced and single. I did this when I was married. So like most, like
that's dangerous.
Like most guys who are married are like, dude, I don't want technology. I don't want tracking. Like have you turned your location tracking off? This is what married guys do when they meet each other. They're like, dude, I just want to point out, have you turned location tracking off on
that's
on
right,
your phone?
That's right.
No, I left it on, man. I got nothing to hide. And I think it's great. So my question to you, Greg, is do you have location tracking turned on your phone? And can you go back into the past and see where you were at what time?
No, I have it turned off by default. And even when I do use it, I allow the apps to only use it when I'm using the app.
I wonder why, Greg. Why is that, Greg?
Because I know I'm just going to be at home all the time and helping my son with his homework.
Oh, sure. Okay. Good answer. Good answer.
But Google Maps is good. And apparently Apple Maps is now really good as well. But the problem was that by the time that Apple Maps got good, Google Maps was so good that I am just so familiar with Google Maps now that's my Google app of choice, as well as the Translate one too. A few people sent in that they use Google Translate a lot. You said you like it.
Sure.
What I really like it for is the photo app. Like you can turn on the camera and it'll like do a live translation of a sign or text, Thai text you pointed at.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's great.
And you know where I use it most is when I'm doing the laundry, because for most of the time, detergent says laundry detergent in English on it, but fabric softener doesn't have any English on it. So a lot of times I'm like, is this fabric softener or is this detergent? I don't know. So I use Google Translate.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been in that exact situation before, whether I'm buying detergent or fabric softener, and I can't tell what the damn thing is. It's shocking what Google knows about me. I don't want to know what they know about me.
You're going to show up one day to a meetup or something like that, and you're going to have Google tattooed across your forehead. And we'll be like, hey, man, what's up? And you're like, hey, they bought my house. So.
That's right. Yeah, could be. It could be true.
So I'm going to get into the next couple of here. Now, what I've done is I've grouped the next few app recommendations into sort of broad categories. So let's just run through the sort of semi-quickly here. So for travel, I mean, everyone knows Grab, right? You call yourself a car. I have some problems with Grab. It's not not always performed as I would have hoped.
It seems highly variable. It seems very inconsistent.
Yes, exactly. And speaking of the Grab app, the Tom also sent a tweet, and he said if you switch the keyboard to Thai when you're using the Grab app and use the mic to speak Thai, it actually works pretty well. So it can write the Thai that you're speaking.
Oh, that's
so you
cool.
can send the instructions or something to the taxi driver. So
that's great.
Yeah, that's a nice little hack I never tried before. Just hope my tones are up to snuff. But a lot of people have said that Bolt is really good. Cool. Same kind of thing. Just, call a driver to come and take you somewhere. And they say it's cheaper. Another one that our buddy Vasily and a few other people have recommended is called inDriver. Have you ever heard of this one?
No, I've never used it. Never heard of it.
Yeah, apparently it works much the same as Grab. You say, I'm here, I want to go here, and you set the price. I'll pay you $150.
Oh, I like it.
And whoever wants it,
it works here in Bangkok.
Yeah, all over Thailand apparently.
Cool.
Or maybe not all over Thailand, but outside of Bangkok too. So that's an interesting concept. There's also a really cool app called ViaBus, ViaBus.
Okay.
That I've used, and it's really, really cool. It's not entirely 100% useful all the time, but it basically shows you all of the bus routes as well as live GPS positions for all of the buses in Bangkok.
Oh, that's great. Man, I really need this show. Like I said, I feel like a listener because I'm just a Google guide. So all of these unique apps, I'm gonna load these apps on my phone for sure.
Yeah. So I think probably a lot of people in Bangkok would probably take more buses if they knew how to read them, but the signs are so convoluted and who knows what's going on. But with ViaBus, it really shows you exactly what's going on. There's another app called MoveMe, MUVMI.
Okay.
And that's a Bangkok app that has a fleet of electric tuk-tuks that you can hire to take you places.
Oh, wow. I think I've seen them, but I didn't know the app.
Yeah, MUVMI, MoveMe. And I think actually someone from that company will probably come on the podcast in the near future to talk about what they're doing.
Nice.
They're not everywhere in Bangkok. They're mostly in the downtown area, but they're pretty cool. And our listener, Andre, he recommended Green Bus for VIP bus travel throughout Thailand. So
what does that mean? What's VIP bus travel?
Well, those buses were like a really super comfortable reclining seat and the
a double-decker, nice, sweet bus.
Maybe not a double-decker, but like a really comfortable, fluffy seat that you can recline in.
Okay.
So Green Bus for booking VIP buses. And lastly, for travel, let's talk about this BMA Traffic app that you found the other day.
Yeah, I just stumbled upon this app, saw a story about it. Apparently, it's brand new. It's called BMA Traffic. So I assume there's an iPhone version. I downloaded the Android version.
I have the iPhone version, yeah.
Yeah, so BMA stands for Bangkok Metropolitan Authority. It's basically the Bangkok government's transportation wing. And they now have traffic cameras. I wouldn't say they're all over Bangkok, but there's definitely dozens of them. There's a lot of cameras. It's obviously not on every street or every intersection, but they're pretty widespread. And you load the app, it gives you a map of Bangkok, and then you can just click on the camera and boom, you have a live feed of what's going on at that intersection or street at the time.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just the other day, I was going to drive somewhere, and I'm like, I wonder what the traffic's like there. And I checked, and I'm like, oh, it's not a traffic jam at all. So off I went. I suppose I could have used the Google Traffic feature on the maps, but this is kind of neat to see a live photo as well. For
sure. Yeah. So I use Google Maps for this kind of stuff, but now I think I will do both. Even though I'm a Google fan or fanboy, it's certainly not perfect. It's certainly not perfect. And particularly with traffic, I always consider Bangkok map traffic kind of a rough estimate. It doesn't always pan out the way it says on the map. So actually being able to look at a live camera at that moment, I think is useful. So I'm going to add it to my repertoire.
Nice. Yeah. BMA Traffic.
For sure.
So I put down a category here for social, and we all know the big ones, Facebook and, Tinder and all those things. But a few people mentioned this one, and we've talked about this on the show before, but it's Meetup.
Okay. I'm familiar with it, but I've never used it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on the website before a long time ago when I was hosting some events, but Meetup has a really really healthy community of people, and basically you're like Friday night wine appreciators meetup or weekend surfing meetup in Hua Hin or whatever it is, right?
Sure.
So it's just got a really healthy group of people that use it, and it's a really really good way to meet a lot of people who have the same interests as you. So check out Meetup if you haven't done it already.
Well, I did mention a couple of weeks ago on the show, one of the things that I like about the expat community is that there is a support network if you're willing to get out there. And I think Meetup is a good example of that.
Yeah, exactly. Good one. All right. So I got weather next. There's a couple of different sort of like radar viewing apps that people have recommended.
Right.
There's Rainviewer, there's Windy, and there's one that I have called Ventusky.
Oh, wow.
And that costs like, I think costs like 100 baht or something like that, but it's pretty cool. And it gives you you can see things like wind speed and cloud cover and precipitation and temperature and things like that.
Okay.
All live. So that's pretty handy. And of course, Air Visual, the app that tells you the PMI index of the air outside. Air's been pretty good lately, but come beginning of 2023, when they start burning the fires again, I think we're all going to want that Air Visual app on our phone.
No, these are great. I mean, I usually just check like general websites like AccuWeather. So I don't have an app, but I will check some of these out.
Yeah, Rainviewer, Windy, and Ventusky are the three sort of radar apps.
Cool.
The next one is food. And of course, everyone knows Food Panda and Line Man and Grab Food and things like that. But a few people recommended Happy Fresh.
Yeah, I've used Happy Fresh before. I like that.
Okay, that's where you can order groceries and they'll deliver groceries to your door.
Sure.
Right? I should use that more often. I've used it once or twice, but I think I deleted it actually. Hey everyone, Greg here. The day after we recorded this episode, Happy Fresh announced they are now shutting down their operations in Thailand. So easy come, easy go. Marshall wrote in and recommended an app called Chope, Chope.
Oh, that's interesting. I've only used Chope. Some bars and restaurants I like to go to, they must be part of that network. So when I make a reservation, it's through Chope. So they must be part of the network.
Right. So you can use that app to like reserve a spot at a restaurant or a bar.
That's right. That's right. So I have used it, and it's when I've used it, it's been very professional. Like it works very well.
Right. There's also a similar one, a Thai one. I think it's a Thai one. I know a lot of Thai friends who use it. It's called QQ, like the letter Q and then the word QUE.
Okay. I don't know that one.
Similar things. When I used to go for lunch with my colleagues at Agoda at Sizzler, we used to use QQ to book our line.
Oh, really? Wow.
Book our place in line, yeah. And another one is Hungry Hub. Ray recommended that one. And that one apparently is a specialized one for buffets in Bangkok. So you can like find all the best buffets.
That's great.
Yeah.
So if you really want to eat a lot.
Yeah. If you're really hungry and you want to go to a hub.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
Hungry Hub.
I love it.
And then there's another one called Eatigo, Eatigo, which a lot of people say they use, but I haven't really heard much about it. And it's sort of like you can turn on the location services and it says, within 2 kilometers of where you are, these restaurants have special deals right now.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. Never heard of it. But it sounds like it's worth checking out.
Yeah. So those are the vague categories that I had. So I've got a bunch more to go through here, but there's sort of no rhyme or reason to how they're organized or anything. So Kevin wrote in and he said that he uses the MEA Smart Life app to monitor and pay his electricity bill.
Interesting. I didn't know there was an MEA Smart Life app.
Yeah. Now, of course, a disclaimer, we probably should have put this at the beginning of the show. I haven't downloaded all of these apps. I don't know how they work or if they work well or what security issues there are.
No,
but,
I trust our listeners.
I do too. I have my credit card tied to my electricity bill, so it's paid automatically, but not everyone has that. So if you can do it on an app, that's pretty convenient.
Nice.
Yeah. There is something called Sinet, Sinet. And I'm not exactly sure what it does, but it looks like you can scan barcodes you get from bills from government agencies or other places and then link that to a bank account somehow.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks interesting. And Kevin also recommended an app called Write It! Thai. And this is to practice your Thai writing and reading.
Man, there's tons of... Actually, we need to do a separate show on Thai language apps. And again, I have not capitalized on that, but I've had many people recommend this app, that app. Like, I guess there's a lot of resources out there.
There's probably way too much to cover in a show, and we'd have to do some testing too, but there's tons out there. And like I said, everyone's got their own favorite, and
Right.
there are some really well-known ones, but I'd never heard of that one before, so I included it.
Cool.
Yeah. So Johan wrote in and he said he uses something called MTL Click for health insurance, which sounds interesting. And he uses the Villa app called V Plus for when you're shopping a villa.
Yeah. I've used that app before. I mean, the website works. The website works fine, but they do have their own app. That's right.
Okay, cool. He said you can get points for shopping at Villa?
I never keep track of points, dude. I got too much stuff to worry about. But
it's the last thing I need about worry about how many bloody points I have.
Usually I'm at Villa or Foodland or Tops, and they're just trying to give me free stuff, and I'm like, I don't got time for this.
Exactly.
They're just like, dude, this is worth 150 baht. I'm like, what? How? Whatever. And I'm like stumbling out with like my bags.
I'll pay you 150 baht to not give that to me. How's that?
Yeah, that's right. I can't keep track of that stuff.
Yeah, the same way. Asher wrote in, and I think it was she, said she uses GoWabi, GOWABI, to book spas, beauty treatments, and massages.
Okay, that's way outside of my my purview, but all right, GoWabi.
I don't know, man. I was going to say, I don't know how to broach the subject, but I think your eyelashes need some TLC.
Dude, you're a spa guy. Let's just be honest about it, Greg. You've been a denizen of Bangkok spas for decades.
So that's GoWabi. Yeah, they shine my head real good. And then Stu, our friend Stu J. Raj, he wrote a quick note, and he sort of said this, and this might seem obvious, but maybe a lot of people, I still meet people that don't have prompt pay set up. Any of the banking apps that you use, K-Bank, Bangkok Bank, SCB, etc., if you link the prompt pay service with a bank account, I'm seeing these little QR codes at every vendor.
Oh, they're everywhere.
Stall.
Yeah. No, I'm a huge supporter of, in general, like electronic banking in Thailand. It's better than the States, man. I think I mentioned this before when I was back home. I was showing my buddies back home what I could do with my Thai bank apps, and they were like, "Really?" It's just so I think I used 3 or 4 different bank apps, and they're just so convenient to make payments, receive payments, transfer funds. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
And prompt pay is definitely worth it. And now it just actually happened to me today. I went to Subway near my university, and they don't take cash.
Right. There's a Subway near my office building, and it costs a couple of Starbucks as well. They don't take cash anymore. Period.
Yep. But the apps are so good, and it's so easy. And I've even been in just nice restaurants. I went to go pay, but I didn't have cash. And instead of going back to my seat and getting my credit card, he's just like, "Yeah, dude, just use your phone." And then I think he just flashed me a QR code. So I just paid my bill. I just scanned the QR code, and it was just easier than using my credit card.
We did that on the bike ride I did last week with my regular gang. We all went up to Kokret, drank some chit beer, caught the boat back. I gave the boat guy the cash that I paid, and then I just pulled up my own personal QR code and put it around, and everyone beeped it, and I got everyone's money back.
Oh, nice!
It was
man,
flawless.
Nice.
Yeah. The only downside to these apps, of course, is I talked about it on a previous show, whereas I use them so much that I don't have cash. And like I came to cross the 5 baht river ferry, and I didn't have 5 baht on me, like zero money, and I had to like walk home.
That's funny
because the ferry, as far as I know, doesn't use a QR code yet. But,
so it's a good idea to always have a $1 in your pocket. It's a good idea.
I guess so. Yeah, I'll keep it in my shoe or something like I did when I was a kid. Liam wrote in, and he told me about a really cool app. It's called QR Widget. Speaking of QR codes. And basically, you can create a widget that goes on your phone for anything. Like you can create a QR code widget that'll be on your phone, and it can be your phone number, it can be your prompt pay ID, it can be a website, and it's a widget on your phone. So you can, if someone asks you a question, "Hey, you look pretty handsome tonight. You want to?" And you just say, "Oh, here's my number. Scan my QR code. Beep," and it's done. So QR widget, you can create a QR code for anything.
Interesting. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty handy. And our buddy Neil wrote in, speaking of Thai learning apps earlier, he recommended this one called Pocket Thai Master for Apple or Android. And he said it's really good to help you learn how to read.
Okay, sure.
And I haven't heard that one before. Two people sent in an app that I think is really interesting. It might not be interesting for everyone, but it's kind of a cool idea. Diane sent in one called PlantNet, where you can take a picture of a plant and it will tell you what type of plant it is, what plant it is.
Now, is that specific to Thailand or more general?
I think it's more general. I think it's like any plant anywhere. And I thought this would be handy because I'm forever wanting to buy plants for my balcony, but my balcony doesn't get a lot of direct sunlight. So I'm like, well, does this need direct sunlight, or does this in the shade, or do I have to water it all? Like,
right, sure.
You know, and I've used one of these apps before, and it was really handy. It gave you all the information, keep this plant here and water it this often. So that's cool. And Jenny sent in another one called Seek by iNaturalist. And that also does the same thing, but also with wildlife and animals as well. So you can scan a picture of a bird or something and it'll tell you what it is.
Oh, wow, this is great.
Yeah,
Sure.
And Todd, speaking of nature style apps, Todd wrote in, he listed something called Peak Finder to see what mountains you're looking at.
Okay.
So that'll be pretty cool if you're like up, traveling up north or something like that. And you're like, what's that thing there? It's Doyintanon or whatever it is. And he also said that something called Skyview is really good for looking at stars. I have this app on my phone and it's super cool to whip out on a dark night because you basically hold your phone at arm's length and it moves like a little star chart in front of you. So wherever you're pointing it, you can see the stars and the star maps.
Very cool.
Armand sent in one that is really neat, and it's called Kopie ID. That's Kopie ID.
Okay.
And basically it lets you take a photo of your ID and then generate a PDF with text over it. So you can say who the PDF is going to, whether it's expired, because a lot of times people have to write on the PDF copy.
Oh, sure.
Sample or something like that.
No, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. And a lot of people who are very security conscious like this because they want to keep track of who has pictures of their ID floating around out there.
Sure.
And the second last one I'm going to get into, and this one is probably the coolest one on the list. And I remember hearing about this years ago, but I forgot about it. And now it's an app and it's called What 3 Words. And basically what this company has done is they have divided the entire surface of the earth up into 1 meter squares.
Okay.
And given each of them a 3-word identification. So if you really want to meet someone and be very specific on where to meet them, you just open the app and go to where your location is and pick the 1 meter grid that you're standing on. And it will give you 3 words that are not the same for any other square meter on Earth.
How many square meters are there on Earth?
At least 1,000. So
there's a few more.
You send these 3 words to a person and say, meet me here. They put those 3 words into the app and it will give them like an exact GPS location.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. I'm definitely going to try that out.
I think that would be a great partnership for Grab. Because you often get the drivers, where are you? What's happening? Where?
Oh my God, yeah. No, it's like I don't understand why they can't just come to the blue dot. That's what I always tell them. Just come to the blue dot. Just
come to the blue dot. I guess it'd be even more confusing if you just sent them, look, come to kitten, watermelon, avatar.
Well, if they got the app, then they would know where to go.
I guess so, yeah. So that's all. That's it. That's the list. That's the list that we got from all of our listeners and the people we emailed. But there's one more entry. We have to mention something from Yari, perhaps. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. This guy or girl has got the right idea. He said, no apps. I want to travel like they did back in the day.
Interesting. I understand that take. I think the apps and the technology, it can get overwhelming, huh?
Yeah, it's insane, man. I mean, if all the things we went through, what did we go through? What did we list about 30 apps here?
Probably, yeah.
I mean, how do you keep track of all that stuff? So...
Well, I appreciate the Luddites out there. As long as they don't blow shit up, more power to them.
I think you have to make it a bit more romantic. I want to travel like Joe Cummings did back in the 1970s. No apps, no phones.
That's right. There you go.
Just a pencil and a notebook, man. That's old school.
As far as I know, Joe was not blowing shit up, so I support that.
That's right. Unless he whips out his guitar and then he blows the roof off the place.
That's right.
Anyway, so that's the list of apps that we got. Many, many thanks to everyone who responded on Twitter and our patrons who replied back to the email. There's probably 500 that we missed.
That's right.
Thanks again, everyone. So I think those are a pretty cool, broad coverage of the types of apps that will help make living in Thailand and Bangkok a little bit easier and can help you cut some of the corners. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. And thanks again to everyone who replied.
I learned a lot, man. I'm going to try some of these for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's do one of the new segments that we came up with called Would You Rather, where one of us picks two contrasting situations tied to Thailand to debate and choose which one we'd prefer. So last week I asked you, Ed, I think I asked you whether you prefer to be in a minimum security prison for a year versus a Thai temple. So this week it's you.
All right, man. So we talked before about, choosing between Western and Thai weather, choosing between Western and Thai food, stuff like that. But I want to be a little more specific. So let's suppose you got an evening, you got to spend 2 hours in a bar with live music. Now, I know you're not a big fan of live music while you're eating. It never seems to add anything.
Right.
But let's suppose it's a live music venue. And let's suppose you got to go. So it's, maybe you got to meet a friend or someone says, I want to go to this bar. But you got two choices.
Okay.
Either you can listen to hardcore American country music, like real American country music, or Thai country music, like Luk Tung, Ma Lam. What do you think?
American country music.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy.
Okay, interesting. Because I know that there are some people that they're just really turned off by what I would just call country music, American. There's certain people, just the sound of American country music, it's just they run for the hills.
I get it, and I used to be like that. I grew up in Alberta, where it's just full of cowboys and rednecks. So yeah, Garth Brooks and who knows what else was blasting.
But it grew on you.
As I matured, I understood the artistry that goes on behind it. Now, a lot of it is still pretty cheesy and twangy, but I would still rather listen to that than Molam or yeah.
Okay, it's interesting. So for me, it's a much closer choice. The bottom line, the simple truth is, I'm not a big fan of either one. So for me, this would be it'd be one of those tough choices. Like, oh shit, I got to choose between American country music or Thai country music. And like you pointed out, I do appreciate the artistry involved in both. It's not, when you don't like something, when you don't like something, you're not saying, oh, these people have no skill. It's something to do with just a preference. And, we've talked before. I wish I loved Luk Tung. I wish I loved Thai country music. I just whatever. I just don't, just like when I hear it, it's just, but here's the interesting thing. When I hear Luk Tung, unsurprisingly, it just sounds foreign and weird, and it's just not pleasant to my ear. But I got to be honest, I don't like American country music either. Just like the lilt, there's just a certain sound and rhythm to American country music, and I just never got into it, man.
I will say American country music has broadened its appeal over the past 10 years. There's a lot more that's bleeding into more blues, into more rock.
Yeah, so that's why I think I threw out a hardcore. Yeah, you're right. So, like some of the country pop stuff I think is not bad. And then I'm a blues fan. And so you're right. All of the fringe versions, when country starts blending with other stuff, that I'm kind of down, but just kind of the pure, true country music.
Merle Haggard and those
guys. I don't know, man. I never got into it. So for me, it would be a tough, it would be a miserable choice. I might end up going with the American just because it is more familiar.
Right.
But to me, it would be a pretty miserable choice. But maybe I would have probably just default maybe to the Western country music. But yeah, I can appreciate the artistry. I'm not putting it down objectively. I'm just saying subjectively, I'm not into it.
All right, that was a good one. Country music. Yeah, it's funny because the first time you hear that in Thailand, oh, he's listening to country music. As a Westerner, you think oh yeah, Garth Brooks.
That's right.
Whoever.
Yeah.
But then they pull out Christy and Jonas or something. You're like, what's happening? I don't know.
It's totally different. Yeah. I know there's a lot of expats who are into Thai country music. I'm actually jealous that you like it. So more power to you.
All right, that's a good one.
All right, a final thanks to our patrons who support the show. Patrons get a ton of cool perks and the warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that they're helping support the show. Find out more by clicking support on our website. And connect with us online. We're Bangkok Podcast on social media, BangkokPodcast.com on the web, or simply bangkokpodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from our listeners and always reply to our messages.
True that. You can also listen to each episode on YouTube. You can send us a voicemail through our website that we'll feature on the show, or even reach out to me directly on Twitter, where I am BKKGreg. So thanks for listening, everyone. Take care of yourself out there, and we will see you back here next week.
No doubt.
All right, let's get into some love, loathe, or live with.
Dude, I'm sorry. I think I'm going to do a would you rather. Sorry.
Oh.
After you just put that in there, sorry. I was just brainstorming and a would you rather popped into my head.
No worries. Let me do that.